Hello and welcome to this new edition of Global Voices of Accessible Travel. I'm your host, Laurent, the co-founder of Tapooz Travel. We are an accessible, inclusive travel company based in the San Francisco Bay Area of California. Well, we're now mid-July 2020, and for this edition, we are going to Central America to the beautiful country of Costa Rica. The natural beauty of this country and its commitment to ecology and biodiversity is by now very well known among world travelers. An expression of this is a system of national parks and conservation areas covering about 25% of its national territory. Volcanoes, rainforests, sandy beaches, waterfalls, it's really hard not to be amazed by the beauty of the nature of Costa Rica. Another key concept is equating sustainable tourism with accessible tourism. But more on that during the interview with Natalia Vindas, the lead operator of Il Viaggio, one of the leading travel companies in the country. The company specializes in designing and delivering customized tours to an international community of travelers. It's also very active in the promotion of accessible tourism throughout the region through a network relationship with other entities involved in tourism and sustainability. From walking tours to cooking classes to hikes in the rainforest to river rafting to cruises on lakes and rivers, there's truly an infinity of ways to enjoy Costa Rica. And with miles and miles of sandy beaches on both the Caribbean and the Pacific coast, water sports are a natural attraction. And with Natalia being a champion on the adaptive surfing national team, you are in good hands to experience the thrills of the outdoors. And speaking of thrills, stay tuned at the end of the interview for something Natalia is offering to her wheelchair users client. So now, without further ado, let's meet Natalia Vindas.
Natalia Vindas, what a pleasure to see you this morning. How are you?
Well, good. Happy to be here talking with you and telling all the people accessible things they can do in Costa Rica.
Oh, by all means, tell me more. Tell me about Costa Rica. Tell me about where you are, what you do, and then we can talk a little bit about the pandemic, but I certainly want to move on to talk about the good stuff that's going to happen in the future.
Well, right now I am at the Central Pacific coast in Jaco, which is the closest beach to the Central Valley. And I'm here surrounded by nature. So it's a very nice place to spend the lockdown days. I'm an accessible travel agent from Viaggio Travel. Viaggio is the only local ground operator in Costa Rica that works with families and people with disabilities. We have 15 years of experience, and it's our passion. I am a wheelchair user too, so every time I prepare an itinerary for any of my clients, I do it as it was for myself. So I really enjoy it. The agency also has a non-for-profit organization that it's called the Costa Rican Accessible Tourism Network. And what we do in the non-for-profit is to inform and train all the tourism providers in Costa Rica so they can continuously go in making improvements on their services they offer and the accommodations and everything. So it's very interesting how it works, how it all like goes together. And I am also an adaptive surfer, part of the Costa Rica national team of para surfing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I work a lot on making the beaches a more accessible place because it's where I practice my sport.
That's wonderful. It's so exciting. You know, we're gonna jump all over the place, but since you mentioned the nonprofit, the Accessible Tourism Network that you've created and part of, you know, Costa Rica is very well known for its the beauty of its national park. Is the government or the tourism authorities involved in that effort to promote accessible tourism?
Yes, I mean the making the national parks accessible was more like an initiative from an alliance of the private and public sector. But now we have, I think it's like 6 or 7 national parks with accessible trails. It's not like the whole trails because there are a lot, but at least they have a trail that can be done completely in a wheelchair. The tourism board, it does involve on since this year on working for for becoming a Costa Rica a more accessible destination for everyone. We've been working with them and telling the importance of making it accessible. So they've been working with us lately.
That sounds great. You know, it's a topic that there is a lot of discussions among the travel professionals and the accessible travel professional on the issue of the involvement of tourism authorities working in private and public partnership. Because at the end of the day, the message that we are trying to convey here in the US, certainly myself, my colleagues, but also in Europe through an organization called ENAT or ENAT in Europe, is that accessible travel is a business, and it's a big business. And if you are part of the tourism industry, you better not forget, and you better make sure that you are working to catch a portion of the business. And that's, you know, it is a huge motivation for a lot of companies and certainly for authorities to promote and make sure that accessibility is, you know, up front, because it is again a source of revenue. So that's great. Go ahead. Yeah.
Just to make a note there,
Sure.
we work very closely with the National Tourism Board is that accessibility is a very important part of sustainability, and Costa Rica is a very sustainable destination, very environmental friendly, but we also focus on making it very friendly for people with all kind of abilities. So that's our approach, like making accessibility a very important part of the sustainability.
That is great. I mean, right there you have, you know, you have a motto, you have a marching orders for a lot of us in the travel industry, in the accessible travel industry. It's accessibility is sustainability. That's great. I love it. You know, I'm going to use it with your permission. Maybe just a minute on technicalities of accessibility, and then we can of course move on to the bigger subject. So, you know, here in the US we have the ADA standards. In Europe they have a different set which is kind of similar. Is that something you also use in Costa Rica in the hotels, restaurant venues, and so forth?
We have since 1996 a law about people with disabilities and their rights to be part of everything in society: education, work, health, and even the physical environment. So we do have a law that supports, that requires that every public and private space that people visit should have at least some aspects of accessibility. Um, my clients sometimes got like surprised because they can find accessible bathrooms everywhere. Not perfectly done, but at least, you know, like big enough.
That's
So
great.
well, that's a good thing. It's a good thing,
Yeah.
but it's also a bad thing because we stuck there, and our work has been mainly like showing uh, the tourism sector that accessibility is more than just fulfilling that law requirements. It's a lot of things that are not in the law, and that is a good business for them too.
Sure. Well, that's great. That's really amazing to hear. Um, let's talk a little bit about the pandemic. You know, it's our new reality. It's a new world. Hopefully, we will get out of this sooner rather than later. We all hope. But give us a sense, if you will, for people who are not familiar with Costa Rica and what's going on there. What's the situation in terms of
Well,
travel restrictions and so forth?
in Costa Rica, we began very good. We had not so many cases, but right now we are living the second wave, so it's been much more worse than the first one. So this week we are in total lockdown because they lost track of the infections. So they asked for total lockdown so they can keep back to the track. We have around 400 cases daily since the last week. That's why we got to the lockdown. But before that, we had only like 10, 15, 30 daily cases. So we're not that bad, but we are in our worst moment right now.
Sure, no,
But
yeah.
it's been very well managed. You know, people is, you know, it's you can find all kind of people, the ones that follow the recommendations and people who don't, but most people is following what it is established by the health minister.
I see. So, but like almost every other country in the world right now, Costa Rica has a travel restriction. I couldn't fly to Costa Rica even if I really wanted to. First of all, because I'm in the U.S., so right now nobody wants U.S. Travelers anyway. But it's a sad joke, but it's true. But within your region, which within Central America, are there other countries close to Costa Rica that you can travel to or travel from?
No, right now because we have borders with Nicaragua and
Hmm.
Panama, and both countries are worse than what we are. So borders are closed for everyone. It is supposed to be open on August 1st, but not quite sure yet. It depends on how the second wave is developing right now.
Sure,
So everything is so uncertain right now.
of course.
But
Now again,
it's I mean I'm positive about it, because we have been working on developing different protocols. So you can see now in the streets most of the people wearing their masks and carrying their hand alcohol and everything, so and keeping the social distancing. So I'm positive that we are getting to know how to dance with this.
well, if certainly if you apply that spirit of Costa Rica and sustainability and nature, if you apply that to dealing with the pandemic, I can tell you already many steps ahead from many other society, including here in the U.S. So that's recommendable. Um, Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. What I was going to say is that one of our advantages in this new normal is that as we are a sustainable destination, we don't have like big attractions where thousands of tourists come. We work with small groups, especially, and Il Viaggio as a travel agency, it works with mostly with families,
Yes.
and we don't do groups with different people. What we do is if you come with your friends or with your bubble, with your family, we create an itinerary for you, but we don't bring a lot of people together to do one tour. So it's very secure. You can come and be in contact with nature and do a lot of adventure activities or just chill at the beach, and you can stay safe. And we are working on a lot of protocols from the accommodations to restaurants, tours, everything. So you can feel safe.
You basically read my mind. But this is exactly the next question I want to ask you because this is something that we've been talking a lot with colleagues all over the place. In Europe, certainly in Australia and so forth, where more and more our colleagues experience a demand, a desire for, again, the smaller, you said family bubble. That's exactly the term. Families, maybe one family, maybe two families getting together as a bubble, they feel safe. that know each other, to travel together, as opposed to joining a big group, going to the main attraction. We're going to be squeezed with another 2,000 people trying to get into a museums or what have you. So that is a clear trend in our industry today. A clear trend of smaller, more intimate travel. Um, and I think this is going to stay with us. I think even post COVID-19, I think many people, not everybody, of course, and some people love to travel big groups and taking cruise, and that's all great. But for many people, this understanding that there is a higher level of enjoyment of the smaller group, the customized trips, tours, customized to the interests of the people, to nature, to food and wine, whatever the case may be. That is something that I think is going to carry on as a major trend in accessible travel, even after COVID-19. I mean, and you as a country and you as a company, I think you are positioning yourself extremely well in that respect. That's great. That's great. So this is reality today. Let's talk about the future, or because eventually things will get better. We will find a cure. We'll have the cure and the vaccine. So tell me about the main destinations in Costa Rica. What are the one that really are so attractive that everybody wants to come and do?
Okay.
Make me excited about coming to Costa Rica one day.
Okay. If you ask me,
Yes, I'm asking you.
I love all the beaches. I mean, they are beautiful. We have on the Caribbean and on the Pacific side. Accessibility is not so good on the Caribbean side, but even though you can do stuff around, if you are like willing to get help from people, we do have accessible transportation with electric lift and everything. So we move our clients all around. And for me, beaches are the best place. Warm water, that's a very good thing. And you can do uh, the adaptive surfing lessons if you want. So it's very exciting. It's full of laughs and companionship and adventure. But also, Arenal, the Arenal volcano, that area has been working for many years, the accessibility. So they do offer a lot of tours and activities for people with disabilities that they can enjoy with the family. We have hanging bridges there that are like hundreds of meters above the ground.
And you
And
can roll with your wheelchair on
yeah,
those? Oh my God.
yeah, very, very exciting. And sometimes the bridges move. So we also have the zip lining, accessible zip lining in different tour operators. That's my favorite adventure activities. We also have cooking lessons for people that is that
Ah,
in
now you're talking to the right person.
we have a very traditional cuisine,
Uh-huh.
and really like to send clients to enjoy it and to learn how to cook their own meals so they can prepare themselves when they go back to their countries, and that's a very nice way to remember the trip and like get a little bit back to that memory. So we always like to include that the cooking lesson, and it's very cool because it has options for everyone, even for people who is vegetarian. It's not only meal, but it has a lot of options, and it's very organic too. So
Of course.
very interesting. What else? Let me think. Okay, the adventure. I love the adventure because I'm a very adventurous person. But we have a lot of national parks, volcanoes that you can see the crater, and it's very nice. And they all have accessible trails to go around, accessible bathrooms almost everywhere. Um, we are still working on something that is the waterfalls, because we have a lot of waterfalls, beautiful ones, but the terrain to get to them, it's difficult. So we now have a Gillette chair.
Yes.
So we've been, the days we can get out, exploring different waterfalls to find that perfect one to get our clients there. That's another thing we do a lot. Like, we don't settle for just one option or one package, but we are always looking for different activities and different options to offer to our clients. We have a lot of coffee tours too, because we make a very good coffee. So we have different tours depending on if the people likes or not the coffee. If they don't like it, we have chocolate and sugar. So there are options for everyone.
That sounds great. I really want to come and visit Costa Rica. It's been something on my bucket list for the long time, and already everything that you mentioned so far are stuff that I love. I'm completely in love with your country without having visited. But a coffee tour and a chocolate tour, I mean, right there, I think you have you're certainly gonna have a lot of traction there. Tell me, for people looking for the more urban cultural, Costa Rica is it's an old Spanish colony. So do you have anything like that in the old cities, old cobblestone streets, or
No,
not really? No.
here, no. But I mean, I like, people usually say that San Jose, the city downtown, it's ugly, but it is because you don't see it with professional eyes.
Aha, of
Because
course.
I have done a lot of walking tours, well, rolling tours for me, and you can see very interesting things around. Because, for example, San Jose, there's one street that was like the third city in the world to have electricity, like public lights.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah. And you have little things that you can find there, historic stories, and but you have to go with someone that really knows where to find them. Because if you see the big picture, you see a Latin American city, which none is nice. It's messy and a little bit dirty, and people running cars, everything. It's crazy, but it does have nice things. I love the museums. We don't have like very big or historic museums like Europe, but we have one which is my favorite because it is a very interesting building. It is built underground,
Hmm.
and the ceiling of the building is it's La Plaza La Cultura, um, and the building has like a pyramid form but upside down.
Uh-huh.
So, and there you can find the gold collection of the indigenous that lived here many years ago, and coins and everything. It's interesting. It's a very good place to go when you're in the city.
And all this information is on your website, Natalia? All the sites that you mentioned. When people are, after listening to this interview, if they want to learn more, can they go to your website and find the
Yeah,
information?
you can go to the website. The website is accessible ilviaggio.com.
I mean,
So
there will be a slide at the end of the interview with all that, but it's
yeah,
good to know they can go to your website and get information.
or you can find, we have some like standard packages that you can book directly. But what I personally rather do is to work a custom made trip, because it can change on the interests of the people. So
Of course, of course. What is the
something
best?
you can,
I'm sorry, I was asking, what is the best time of the year to visit Costa Rica?
anytime is a good time. Because yeah, I mean, we don't have we only have dry and rainy season.
That
and,
makes it easy.
and even in the rainy season, I mean, we are right now in rainy season and there's a lot of sun outside. So In the rainy season, what changes is that you could have a very hot and sunny morning and then rain in the afternoon, or the other way around. But I mean, there's always time to go out and explore and do activities. And even if you are having a days of relax, like being under great raining here is very relaxing. Just
Right.
stay there and relax and listen to the rain falling. So
That's on.
anytime, good time. And even better in the green season, which is the rainy one, because it's cheaper and you can find less people around. So you'll have more comforts for yourself, for example, in the swimming pool of the hotel or stuff like that.
That sounds great. And then maybe another logistical issue is it easy to rent mobility equipment or accessibility equipment? No, many of our guests from Europe, when they come to the US and from Scandinavia, from France, they have very specific requirements for their travel. I'm talking about family travel, small groups. For example, when we book a hotel for people from Copenhagen to New York, invariably we have to make sure that the room is not only the room is accessible, but we have a lift in the room. We make sure that we have the shower chair, and then and on and on and on. Is all that available in Costa Rica?
Uh, you can find it like an agency to rent, like a place to rent the
Mm-hmm.
stuff for yourself. But we as an agency, we do have all the equipment, like the Hoyer lift
Yeah.
and the bathroom wheelchairs and walkers. But it's difficult to find people who rent. I mean, we have been like buying some equipment or looking somewhere for example, one client needed to rent an electric wheelchair, and we
Yes.
didn't have one because those are more expensive. So we have like to do the work of calling all the places and negotiate if they can rent, because they usually don't rent, they only sell.
Mm-hmm.
So that's point that it's more difficult to fulfill. But we have been buying the equipment we need, so our clients are more comfortable when they
Of
come,
course.
so we can meet their expectations.
Well, where are your main clients coming from? Are they from the US, Canada, from Europe? Or what do you see the trend of people coming to Costa Rica?
In Costa Rica, we mostly receive from US and Europe. Oh, yeah.
Okay, not so much from Australia or other parts of the world,
Oh, I think it is because of the flights.
of course.
The, the National Institute of Tourism and the government of the country, as tourism for us is very important, they have been negotiating with airlines direct flights. So what we receive the most is people coming from the States. We have two airports, one in the Central Valley, that it's called San Jose, but it is not in the San Jose province. It's in Alajuela. That's a fun fact. And also another airport in the North Pacific coast. So when people just want to come to get a relaxed getaway, like few days and straight to the beach, they fly to the Liberia International Airport.
I
And
see.
they don't have to stop by the Central Valley, because coming from the Central Valley to the North Pacific coast, it's around 5 hours in driving.
Wow. But I'm sure it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very nice. What we do is we always try to do the transfers the shorter as possible,
Yeah.
like 2 hours, and so we can connect different interest places on the itinerary, and making people not get very exhausted of
Sure.
just traveling
Of
from one
course.
to another. So and even in the road, it's very nice because you go looking through the window and seeing the nature and the
And then
sun and everything.
and then you stop and you have a great cup of coffee, and then you travel and you stop again. You have a great piece of chocolate. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way to go. Natalia, we're coming up to almost half an hour of the time. I promise to you not to go too much over that. Um, Anything you want to say to people watching this interview? Last good words about Costa Rica.
Um, Come.
Of
You will
course.
not regret it. I mean, it's very nice. People is always looking forward to help you. Even with all the COVID stuff and everything, people, I'm a wheelchair user, and the little days I can get out, people is always, even with this thing, like, do you need help? How can I help you? When accessibility is not perfect, you should know that. We're still working on it, but people is very nice. So, and the nature is amazing. I mean, right here where I am, very early in the morning, I can see so many birds just staying out of the door that it's amazing. So don't miss it. You're gonna
Ab-
come at least once.
Absolutely. And on a personal note, between what I know about Costa Rica and the beauty of its landscape and the national parks, and your obvious passion and love for what you do, it's a winning combination. I thank you so much for taking part of this project. I can't wait to talk to you again, and hopefully, at some point we'll have a chance to meet face to face. So again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you took part of that today. Thank you.
Thanks to you for the opportunity, and hope to see you soon.
Very well. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Dos, tres, Tarzan swing.